Hey everybody, I am TinTim, that's T-I-N as in Nebula, T-I-M as in Mars. I am America's first drag queen public intellectual, aka the Cornell motherfucking West of drag, and I am very excited to announce that soon, starting next week, I will be coming to you each week, again, with my thoughts on the most recently aired episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1, aka the Lost Season. So I know that it's been a while since y'all have seen me on my own channel. I've mostly been doing my weekly videos for Queens of the Week, which I hope you all have been watching, and it's been a lot more challenging than I thought it would to do double duty, to do like regular material for this channel as well as for Queens of the Week. But I thought, what better opportunity, what better chance than to pick up on Season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race while Logo is finally pulling it back out from the vault and showing it this fall. So, I'm really excited to talk about this because Season 1 is actually one of my favorite seasons of the show, if not my favorite season. And I know that's not a super common opinion and maybe even a controversial one, so I do want to talk a little bit about why. The first season of the show is definitely rougher around the edges, and you can definitely, like, the production values are obviously lower. Everyone always jokes or talks about the Vaseline lens and about the jankety, like, workroom and all of that. Even, like, considering all that, for me, there's this sense of kind of just like freshness and authenticity that comes from the fact that the show isn't totally set in its ways yet, and they don't really know what they're doing yet, and they're still kind of figuring out what they're doing. And because of that, the format feels a little bit less rigid than later seasons, and it feels like there's more space for these kind of moments that truly catch you off guard and that feel a little bit more human between the characters, right? You know, there's still drama, and they still play up some of the drama, obviously, but it feels like people are less slotted into their roles, and a lot of the emotional moments feel very kind of candid and off the cuff. As an artist, I'm interested in how people create things and assemble them, and, you know, the creation of the show is a lot more naked in the first season because it's like not smooth yet, it's not polished yet, and you can kind of see them figuring it out as they go along, like what this show is going to be and become. And for me, in a way, that's kind of more interesting, right? It's like if there's like a band or a musician or artist that you love, and you track down their like long lost bootleg or you know, demo, or like the little CD that they used to sell out of the back of their car before their early shows or something, and it doesn't have, you know, the same level of sophistication, and it isn't elevated as the same way as their early work, but it has just this sense of like urgency or energy or something that sometimes the later stuff can't have in the same way, and it ends up being some of the most interesting of their work, or interesting of their art. And that's kind of how I feel about this season. The other thing about that is, you know, last year during Season 5, I talked about how there's this unfortunate pattern, it seems like, has happened in the last few seasons of aesthetically conservative or sort of rigid drag queens of color. So like drag queens who are saying, this is what drag is, it has to be like this, whether that's kind of the showgirl polish or the pageant girl polish, versus more avant-garde or kind of risky white drag queens. And we saw that, you know, played out last season with the Jinx Monsoon versus Roxy Andrews. We saw it with Sharon Needles versus Fifi. And I talked in one of my videos then during Season 5 about how unfortunate that is, because it really reduces both sides of that equation. Like, both of those types of drag are much more complex than that. And it also sort of, you know, erases lots of interesting artists from the picture, like all of the like interesting avant-garde drag queens of color that have existed, as well as the fact that you know, obviously there's tons of like white pageant-y, right? But it's a really narrow and constrictive role. And I was talking to a good friend of mine, Vanessa Villarreal, who is a awesome writer who's in the MFA program at CU Boulder, and she was doing some writing for one of her classes analyzing the show, and she sort of proposed this theory that in the first season that racialization of different kinds of drag was also less rigid, and that you could have someone like Nina Flowers, who I'm going to say a lot more about in a minute, but that you could have someone like Nina Flowers emerge who is really unlike anyone we get in later seasons in terms of how original and distinctive a character she is, and how crazy and avant-garde and weird, but also, you know, Puerto Rican, Latina, and also, although they don't mention this on the show, also, like, has been a pageant girl and a pageant winner. So she can do that, like, punk, glam, club kid, almost, like, crazy thing, but, you know, has also been able to pageant it up and has that versatility and defies those easy categorizations, right? And I think that there's a lot of space on this season for things that defy easy categorizations, and I think there's more just spontaneity, more a different kind of warmth I've noticed between the queens. And the other thing I like about season 1, to get back to Ms. Nina, is that it has more queens that are my all-time favorites, as in, like, the ones who have most influenced the kind of drag I want to do and have shown me what drag can be, than any other season. And it has 3 of my all-time favorites, and that's more than there are altogether in any one season. And so for me, that is Nina Flowers first and foremost, then Angina, and Tammy Brown. And there hasn't been, I don't think, any other season where we've had that many freaks and, you know, just oddball, completely distinctive, one-of-a-kind, you know, no one else is doing anything quite like this, this look, this aesthetic, queens in one season in quite the same way. And so that's another reason that I really love season 1. Yeah, I'm really excited to review and to talk about and give you my thoughts on season 1, aka the lost season, starting after they air the first episode next week, I think. So, much love to you all. Mwah.